course, think of him quite often, but especially on today. And thanks to everybody else who was there as well. I'm going to just do my sound check first.
Yeah, I have to be there.
Okay, good. Because normally I use my microphones, and these are Bose. This is a little Bose. I don't like the big things that go, those big ones, and these just work just fine. Here they are. But anyway, my microphone on this particular computer seems to be pretty good. So I don't have to do that. Anyway, what's going on here? Well, we're down to 26 days of inventory. And how did that happen? Well, I don't think we're listing as many. Screen here for a second. Move away. Yeah, I don't think that. We obviously only listed 20 of the 400 and under homes yesterday. And that only gives us 625. That's still a lot, under 400 and under. But we listed 73 yesterday, which that was good. And then we went ahead and put 110 under contract. So you can see how these numbers shift a little bit, but 26 is okay. I think it's okay, especially for this time of year. Now, when you look at last year, I don't know. I mean, I double checked this morning and it was right on. I double checked it also with applied analysis. I'm sure that you all have seen this, the market statistics that applied analysis puts out. And they say the same thing. So last December was just an awesome month, at least the first 7 days, because we were selling 137 homes a day from December 1st, actually through the 6th. And now we're selling 108, which brings our year to date down to 139, so about 140. Anyway, so December is different than last year. Better than the year before. We were doing 102, I believe, the year before. So we're still ahead of 2019, but not ahead of 2020. So we'll see. A little bit ahead of 2020 for the year, but not for the month. If any of that makes any sense to you, hopefully. The $1 million homes still 4 a day. Now here's the big one. The big news of the day is Applied Analysis put out their report. And I'm going to put this up, hide this here, and look at this. The median priced home last month rose up to $421,000. That is a 21.7 increase from last year. Whoa, that's pretty huge. Yeah, and we're on track in December for 425. Hi, Debbie from Advantage Realty. Thank you for joining me and being such a regular. You're awesome. Thank you. I love your smiley face. Your masked smiley face. No, it shows differently on the screen than it does there. I see. Nice smile. Anyway, thank you for joining me. So this news goes both ways because, the people who bought a home in the first of the year, they're doing fantastic. If you can see here, they've got like equity already of, let me see, Ruth, I can't see it. 56,000. Yeah, 56,000. If you bought a home in January for 365,000 when that was the median, and now the median is 421. So there you go. Yeah. I want to show everybody another thing here. Now, when I do the stats, I do them using this zip code map. This is the latest zip code map in Las Vegas. So I don't do Pahrump, I don't do Boulder City, and it does change the figures a little bit. When I added those in this morning, it doesn't even make a day's different in the available. Hey, Tammy from HomeSmart. Thank you for joining me. As always, you're beautiful, and that lovely smile. I love to see it. And Tammy's got her own book out now, which I think she's branding herself, which is really, really good. That's what we want to do. So anyway, this is the map that I use, and I include all these zip codes. And when I don't use the zip codes and I leave it blank, of course, there's about 300 more homes on the market. Excuse me. When it goes into and when it goes into totally Clark County. So if you see discrepancies, that's why. It depends. You always have to know what the criteria is that people are using. So we're going to get rid of that. I want to make an announcement here that I think it's next Tuesday, Brian Buffini is going to do his bold predictions for the 2022 real estate market. You all really need to watch this. I will, depending on how he produces it, we'll watch it on our show so that you can go back and see it again. Because once I don't know, he's getting more into social media and more into YouTube and things like that. But I will record it anyway. So just in case he doesn't, we will have it so that we can refer back to it. His bold predictions are usually right on because he gets the big experts from all over the country. He gets them from the banking industry, of course, from Dr. Young, who is the real estate economist. And I'm sure he's got a handful of other experts that he gets his information from. So that's next week. We'll be watching that. I just want to make everyone aware. The other thing I want to make everyone aware of today is that tomorrow, Jimmy and I are putting on the Be the CEO of Your Life. And I sent an email out this morning at 7:30. Check your spam, check your junk in case you didn't get it so that you can sign up for the class. It is a great class. I tried something new. I tried doing an event sent to our members of the group. And I don't know if you got it. Hopefully you did. Hopefully you take this class. This has some real strategies for building your business and creating the right plan and doing the right things and reverse engineering, like we've talked about this past month. But we break it down into all the different strategies. I think I have about 8 different strategies that you can utilize in order that you can reverse engineer and know how many calls you have to make, how many visits you have to make, how many connections you have to make, how many people you have to add to your database, all those things to meet your goals. And again, I don't like the word goal so much, to make your business successful because you're building a business. All right, so that's going on tomorrow, and it's from 2 to 5, and we always have refreshments, and that includes wine and cheese and snacks and things like that. So that's always good. So yesterday, I read a chapter from Gary Vaynerchuk's new book, and it is an awesome book. And today we're going to do self-awareness. Short and sweet, he writes very concisely. I love the way he paraphrases things and says things. And he says that self-awareness is key. It's just key. And conscious knowledge of your own character is so important. Feelings, motives, and desires. Feelings, how you feel. Motives, what are your motives? What are you doing what you're doing for? And then what are your desires? And I will tell you as a side note that I attended the Blueprint for Tom Ferry, and he wrote a letter to himself as if it were 15 years from now. So I think he used 2035. He wrote a letter to himself, thanking himself for what he had accomplished, both personal, spiritual, emotional, business-wise, personal, and financial. Personal, financial, and business financial. And he wrote that letter. And I love the psychology of this. And I heard Brian Buffini this morning on his podcast. He touched on this as well. If you write that letter as if it's 2035 and you're writing it to yourself to thank yourself or to acknowledge some of the accomplishments you've done, some of the things that you still have to work on, whatever it is, it gives you a target. And I like that. I like that, the psychology of doing that. And I know I'm older than most of you, but I'm going to do it. I am going to do where I want to be when I'm 90 years old. Financially, spiritually, emotionally, personal, and business. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to see how that plays out in my own focus on what I want to do and be. So I will let you know, and I hope you all will take the time to do it as well. You hopefully will have a little bit of time between now and the end of the year to do that. But I think it's a good exercise, and I will show you his. I don't have time to do it today, but I will show you his. Getting back to Gary Vee and self-awareness, he says, and I'm going to just paraphrase some of this, but he writes so well. If there's anything that I could wish upon society, aside from good health, it would be a new drug to help everyone develop these emotional ingredients. If I were the FDA, the first one I would prioritize would be self-awareness. So the value of self-awareness first hit my radar in 2011 to 2013 during the explosion of interest in entrepreneurship in popular culture. And when I saw some students and executives become startup founders, it struck me. How do they not realize that they have no chance? Wow. Why are they trying to be a number one? How do they not realize that they're better suited to be a number two, a number three, a number 27 player in an organization? Do they realize that they're making this jump because they think it's cool instead of doing it because it's their calling? That's very impactful. Do you really want to be the number one real estate agent in your company? Do you want to have the number one team? Is it really that important? And is it your calling? Meaning, are you aware of yourself that you can drive yourself to that level? So he says there are many reasons why humans try to become someone they're not. Sometimes it's just delusion. And I don't say that in anger. I say it with empathy. Delusional people lack awareness about their strengths and their weaknesses. And how true is that? However, what surprised me was that many of them aren't delusional. They're actually very self-aware. They do recognize they have no shot. So they overcompensate for their insecurities by propping themselves up with a job title like CEO. They'd rather put entrepreneur in their Instagram bios to appear successful in the eyes of the world than to lean into their strengths and passions and start building a sustainable long-term happiness. And you'll know that Gary threads happiness throughout what he writes about and talks about. Many of those who dream of being entrepreneurs today would have dreamed of being astronauts and pilots back in 1957 or rock stars in 1975. Self-awareness has a close relationship with self-love and self-acceptance. I'm realizing right now that it's one thing to be self-aware. It's another thing to look in the mirror and say, hey, you're not good at X, whatever that is. That doesn't mean you're telling yourself you're a piece of, and he uses the word shit. Anyway, it just means that you're acknowledging that you have weaknesses. Go figure that one out, right? Insecurity often leads to avoidance. Now that's a heavy-duty statement. Insecurity often leads to avoidance. So if I'm insecure about standing up in front of a crowd and teaching them social media, I avoid it altogether. Simply stated, people tend to be the most avoidant of their own flaws. So if you tell yourself you're not good at running a business, that doesn't mean you'll never have a successful, fulfilling career. Maybe you can build a personal brand for yourself as an influencer. Maybe you can make your impact as an executive. Maybe the reason you're not good at running a business is that you don't enjoy managing people. And you can bring in a partner with a complementary skill set. So again, once you become self-aware and you realize that, hey, I need to bring somebody in to help me, that's part of realizing that you're insecure about managing people, so you avoid it, and that doesn't work, especially if you have a team or you even an assistant. But then you bring in someone else who possibly can fill that gap and has that complementary skill set. So when you fully accept yourself, you're no longer scared of other people. On social media and in real life, humans tend to feel uncomfortable when they feel out of place. They feel others are superior or that an insecurity they're trying to hide will be exposed. For me, a combination of self-awareness and humility is why I love being around people. Nobody scares me. And if you're a real estate agent out there, you cannot be afraid of people. And I see it all the time. I see it every day. You don't make those phone calls. You don't go and drive the neighborhoods and make those pop-bys because you don't want to have that conversation, or you don't know if you can have a conversation that will interest somebody. You know, they say it's better to be interested in someone than to be interesting. And I think sometimes we forget that. If you're interested in someone else and you ask them lots of questions and you have, of course, things to offer, and that's, you know, this is big. This little sheet of paper here I do every day, it's big. Where are they going to get that? So you have things to offer. So for a lot of people, a little more self-awareness could help them be more secure at their work. Outside of the financial benefits that can come from more senior roles, chasing titles is 100% tied to caring what others in the organization think of you. So for me, the job title has been an afterthought in many of the companies I've been involved with. What I care about is bringing value to every single person I interact with. So I will say, out of fairness, that your job title does become an important leverage point when you plan to move to a different company. And in our case, it would be our production, which is our leverage point. So when people in my company meet with me and ask for a different title that I can't provide, I often tell them to come back to me when they want a different job, and I'll give them a different title so that they can increase to leverage on LinkedIn. That's kind of funny. That's pretty deep there, what he's saying. But he's basically saying he runs a business. And if you're a broker, you're running a business. And you may have someone that wants a title, but they can't fill the shoes of the title. So I don't think that applies so much to us. So those who care too much about job titles are largely worried about what other people think of them. Not a good thing. So when you look back, I see I've always had self-awareness, even in my youth. I was a businessman, a purebred entrepreneur. And when I made $1,000 as a sixth grader selling stuff, I knew I was going to be okay, even if I got D's and F's in school. It wasn't just my opinion that I was a talented businessman. I had affirmation from the market. So he went out there and he had that gift of gab, or that he was not insecure about talking to people. And so therefore, he was an entrepreneur. He could sell things. He could sell himself, and therefore he could sell things. Confidence makes self-aware much easier. No kidding. I'm willing to take a hard look in the mirror and acknowledge all the problems I have in my life. I'm willing to separate who I am from who I wish I could be, a challenge for those who are insecure. And I have to tell you that recently someone was telling me my faults, basically. My faults. I said, go ahead. I can handle it. And that requires then some introspection into yourself. And if I'm not good at this, maybe I should be doing this. Anyway, it's good to have somebody that can be frank with you about really what are your challenges and what perhaps you don't want to overcome. And like he said in the beginning, you have to have the passion and you have to want to do things. Not just want the title, but you have to go with gusto to go after what you want. And that takes security, that takes emotional stability, that takes drive. The best part of acknowledging your weaknesses is that you can then start navigating around them. I don't have the work ethic to put up a painting on a wall because I don't like doing it. So I'll find something else to do. That's pretty simple. But I have the work ethic to spend 15 hours a day on my business, and I love it. How many times people have told me, Ruthie Rocks, Ruth, all you do is work. Well, I love what I do. I don't think it's work. I love what I do. And I'm not a millionaire or a multimillionaire. I mean, I might be a millionaire, but I'm not a multimillionaire. And I don't really, I'm comfortable with my life. So, and that took a lot of introspection for me because I wasn't always comfortable where I was. So he says, but I have the work ethic to spend 15 hours a day on the business because I love it. I can't read long texts or emails, so I have quick 5 to 15 minute meetings with my team instead. I don't say to myself, oh no, I need to get a tutor. Instead of taking my reading skills from bad to okay, I'd rather spend that time taking my strengths from great to supernova. And that takes self-acceptance and self-love. So I love Gary. He's just so down to earth. That said, I think you have to improve your weaknesses to a point. You need to be capable enough. My kind candor was so weak that it created issues with some current and former employees. So I had to improve it. But I don't overstress this point because most people work only on their weaknesses, not their superpowers. Yes, I want to level set my weaknesses, but I'm more interested in taking my strengths to the moon. And I kind of think that's how I felt in my life. I know there's things that I'm not good at, but the things I love, I want to become good at. You might not be able to completely punt your weaknesses as a punt at school. You might need to get it into an acceptable baseline, but it's often too much work to go from acceptable to good. Even more often, the juice is not worth the squeeze. Wow, that's quite a quote. The juice is not worth the squeeze. I want you to triple down on what you're naturally good at. Ironically, you'll find that it actually compensates for your weaknesses more effectively than trying to turn a weakness into a strength. I'm going to read that again. I want you to triple down on what you're naturally good at. Ironically, you'll find that it actually compensates for your weaknesses more effectively than trying to turn a weakness into a strength. In other words, the net business outcome is greater when you triple down on the strengths because of the time impact arbitrage. I need my kind candor to be an acceptable level, but I know I will never be the greatest at it. I will never be as good at it as I am an ingredient like empathy, not ever. So what he's saying is he has kind candor, but his empathy trumps his candor. And that's why perhaps he had a lot to learn when he was growing his business and not truly managing his people perfectly. If at this exact moment you stop reading and start learning more about self-discovery from other teachers and formats, then this book is the best one I've ever written. That's how much I believe in self-awareness. So tomorrow we're going to talk about accountability. If you would like a copy of this book, let me know. I bought some extras so that I could give them to people that really care about their business, growing their business, and the 12 and a half ingredients and catalysts so that they can be the best they can be. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. This chapter was a little bit heavier than yesterday's chapter, but I think it had a huge impact. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow. I hope you come to our class, Be the CEO of Your Life. Practical strategies on how to grow your business, how to build your business. I love you all. Have a wonderful day.